single idea. So I was talking with Belicious about memory and the vibrations of memories. And for example, I have certain memories or stories that I tell, and as I tell them, I'm kind of extending that vibration of that experience into the people that are hearing that. And for some stories, especially when there's a lot of distance, that there are photos that go with those stories, and they're stories that I've told many times. And so the actual story and the bits of data that I have attached to it, such as the photographs, become far more visceral and real than the actual memories of the experience. Have you ever had that experience where you have these memories, but then you wonder, do I really remember that, or do I just remember the photograph and having my parents talk to me about that experience? Belicious was talking to me about, there's a Turkish mountaintop story that I've told a few times, and she was so, she was like, you told it so well, and with all of these pictures from the experience, that I feel like I know what that felt like. And as she was telling me this, I was like, you know what? A huge part of my memory of that experience is the story and the photos. I can picture parts of it, and I can remember elements of it, but how much of my memories is from me hearing myself tell the story over and over again, and how much is actually the actual memory from the initial experience? And I don't know, it gets really interesting when you think about how much of what I think to be real, or is a real memory, is actually what has happened over time. There's a great book, Stumbling on Happiness, where he does all these studies and shows that the way that we think we remember things, the accuracy is far worse than it actually is. That our brains work in such a way that it remembers details in dots, and then when it's time to recall it, it connects the dots. So we might remember that it was snowing, I was driving this car, there was an accident, and when it's time to remember it, we put together a scene of that happening, and we see it happening, but the accident may not have actually happened that way. That's just the way the dots were connected once it came time to recall it. And this happens all the time in court. An eyewitness testimony is some of the least accurate testimony that you can have, because people, when it comes time to recall, they put the dots together in a way that they believe with all of their heart and passion, which is why it's dangerous in court, because people, will have total integrity in their words. But you can then show a photograph, or you can then, show video and be like, I know you think that's what happened, but here it clearly didn't. And that happens so frequently that we should know not to trust our brains and our memories nearly as much as we do. Which is why I videotape all this, so that when somebody accuses me of corrupting the youth, I can say, well, let's go to the tape. It's also the reason why I keep... No, that was a bad joke. I won't go there. But actually, the book Stumbling on Happiness I've kind of been thinking about trying to do a little like a coursework of how to be happier. And I think the first book that I'm going to read or assign is Stumbling on Happiness, because by the time you finish all of these studies and examples of understanding how your brain actually works, you become much less attached to your beliefs. And you're much more open to the idea that, well, maybe I don't really know the way things happen, or the way I think, or what is right and wrong. Because you see, science has done all these studies that show, like, you'd gravitate to what you already believe. You find evidence for what you want to believe. You connect dots way beneath the conscious surface, and then absolutely believe that that is truth. And there's so many examples of that well, I just urge you to let go of the idea of truth a little bit. Unless we're talking about the truth we were talking about earlier, which is that of a heart truth of love and compassion and connection. Look at that. It all came full circle. Well, thank you for being a part of this attempt at heart truth, this generation of love vibration amplification. Whatever brought us all here together, whatever brought us all here together today, I'm grateful and thankful for this opportunity to be recalibrated. And as we go out into the world, especially in this Christmas season, when the reason for the season can get very cloudy, and really it can be whatever it is for you, but hopefully it's tied to what draws us together, which is that recognition that we are connected, we are vessels of love and light, we are ambassadors of connectivity, of compassion. And as we walk through the world, just in the way that we acknowledge people with our eyes, we become ambassadors. We become the change we wish to see in the world. Thank you for being a part of it. I love you. Namaste.